the concept that I'm going to cover with these notes is how perimeter, area, and volume is affected when you change the dimensions. So when we dilated things, we dilated it by a scale factor. And so we took a figure and we dilated it times 2, and it made the figure bigger. Because if we took the pre-image and we multiplied it by a scale factor of 2, because 2 is larger than 1, it became a larger image. Well, I can also look at this figure and take the perimeter, and then take the perimeter of this one also. So I'm going to start with the basics, and I'm going to say, when labeling a perimeter problem, how do you label units? And I write units, whether it is centimeters, yards, whatever. When labeling an area problem, how do you label the units? And I do units squared, or units to the 2. When labeling a volume problem, how do you label the units? I do units cubed. So I go units for perimeter, units squared for area, and units cubed for volume. That's how I label things if I'm calculating those certain things. So, does how you label units tell you what and how dimensional change affects it? Perimeter, area, and volume. Yes. And that's what we're going to discover. So given a rectangle with dimensions 6 by 4, so I have a 6 and a 6 and a 4 and a 4, I need to find the perimeter. Well, perimeter equals 2 lengths plus 2 w's, which is the 2 times 6 plus 2 times 4 equals 20. So 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 6 is 16, plus 4 is 20. So this is 20 units. Okay? I'm going to jump down, and I'm going to now double the dimensions of the rectangle and make that 12 and 8 and 12 and 8. And it's 12, 20, 32, 40. There's my new perimeter. Okay? And perimeter times scale factor equals new perimeter. So if I take my perimeter times my scale factor of 2, so 20 times 2 equals 40, which is that. And I wouldn't have had to draw that. Okay, let's do the area. So the area of this is 6 times 4, base times height, which is 6 times 4, which is 24. If I do the area, 24 units squared. Okay. 12 times 8 is 96 units squared. Okay. Area times scale factor squared equals new area. So the area, which is 24, times 2 squared is new area. 24 times 4, and if you calculate 24 times 4, that's 96 units squared. Now, if you notice on my formulas here, so I have a formula here, and I have a formula right here. Okay. Notice I said when labeling perimeter we did units, and this is units to the first, but one is understood, and that's scale factor to the first. And area, I do units squared, so I multiply it by scale factor squared. So with the pattern, it would be volume times scale factor cubed equals new volume. And there's a third formula. So let's compare the effects of the perimeter and area when dimensions and shapes are changed proportionally. So the length of the smaller was 6, the larger was 12. The ratio is 12 to 6, which is 2. Width is 4. 8 over 4 equals 2. Perimeter, 20. 40 divided by 20 equals 2. 96, 24. 96 divided by 24 equals 4, but 4 can be written as 2 squared. The basic definition is apply these formulas right here. Okay? So here's your conclusion. If the dimension of a rectangle are doubled, which the scale factor is 2, the perimeter is doubled, or times 2. If the dimensions of the rectangle are doubled, the area, because it's units squared, is multiplied by 2 squared, or multiplied by 4. Let's see how this works. If the dimensions of a rectangle are tripled, scale factor of 3, the perimeter. So perimeter times scale factor equals new perimeter. So how would I get the new perimeter? I would multiply by 3. If the dimensions of the rectangle are tripled, the area is, so area equals, and area is units squared. So I'm going to do scale factor squared. Times scale factor squared equals new area. So I'm going to say multiply by 3 squared, which is multiplied by 9. Given a rectangle 6 by 4 by 2. 6 by 4 by 2. Volume. Volume is big BH, but big B is B times H with an H, which is length times width times height, which is 6 times 4 times 2, which is 48. 48 units cubed. Okay, now I'm going to double the dimensions, so now it's 12 times 8 times 4. 12 times 8 is 96. 96 times 4. 384. 384 units cubed. Okay? Now, if I didn't do all this, and I didn't manually do all that, I could say 48, I have volume, so volume times scale factor cubed equals new volume. So my volume was 48. I multiply it by my scale factor, which is 2, cubed. 48 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 48 times 8, because 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. And 48 times 8 is 384 units cubed, which gives me the same thing. Okay, I'm going to skip this part. We've already done there. And I'm going to skip that part, and I'm going to fill in this chart. So given my original, and say my original is my original, and I'm going to multiply it by 2. That means my scale factor was 2 because perimeter is 2. And then this would be 2 squared, which is 4, and the volume is 2 cubed. Okay, so whatever I have as original, I would have my scale factor, and then my perimeter would be times 3. My area is times 3 squared. My volume would be times 3 cubed. So 3 squared is 9. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. If my area was times 2 squared, this is, which is 8. So this is the square root of 16, which means that would be 4, because 4 squared is 16. This would be times 4, and this would be times 4 cubed, and that gets to be a bigger number. If I multiply it by the perimeter scale factor, I get a half. 1/2 squared equals 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. And if I cubed it, it would be 1/2 cubed, or 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, which is 1/8. 1/3 would be 1/3 times the perimeter. 1/3 times 1/3 for the area, which is 1/9. And for the volume is 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3, which is a third, which is 1/27, and the pattern continues. So I don't need pictures. I need the final area and a scale factor. So find the area of a triangle whose dimensions are triple those of a triangle with area. So triple is times 3. This is units squared, and it tells me right here. So I'm going to do 94 times 3 squared equals 94 times 9, 846 centimeters squared. Okay, so find the volume of a cylinder who are double with the volume of this. See that right there? That's what you're going to do to your scale factor. So you have 110 times, your scale factor is times 2. Volume is cubed. 2 cubed is 8. So this is 110 times 8, which is 880 centimeters cubed. Because 2 cubed equals 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Perimeter of a triangle is 24 feet. The dimensions are dilated by a scale factor of 1/4. What is the new perimeter? Notice it's units. It's units. And perimeter times scale factor. Perimeter times scale factor equals new perimeter. So if my perimeter was 24, I multiply by my 1/4. I get my new perimeter to be 6, because 24 times 1/4 equals 6 units.